Play the chords that move my mind, make the moods that capture time, weave your songs that...
Well, it couldn't last forever. In the good old days of excellent and groovy music were all but over, and the world had fallen into a rhythmic abyss. The spirit of music had not vanished all at once. It had simply thinned out, replaced by the sterile redundancy and the gray noise of a society that had forgotten how to listen and had few places to look. Great melodies were artifacts of the lost age of sound, a time when songs carried weight and soul, creativity and imagination, synergy. Now people lived in repetition, hoping that somehow the quality of the past might return. The world had become a desert of static. The age of sound had passed into myth, leaving behind a gray silence where the great spirit of music once breathed. Amidst the hushed landscape, two travelers, seekers of the lost resonance, set out on an epic journey through the dream shallows of the world to find the source of the old magic. The journey through the echoes. Their odyssey began in the Valley of Dreams, a place where the landscape shifted with a constant sense of déjà vu. Here the music was unpredictable. Every mountain peak felt like a memory, and every river crossing felt like a path they had walked 1,000 times before. One of the travelers stated, "I've seen this before. In my dreams, I keep coming back to places I've been before, to places I don't remember." From there they entered the desert of nightmares, where they were haunted by phantoms of the past. The music became erratic and heavy. A bitter cold wind blew there, whispering the judgments of those they had left behind, voices that claimed they would never change, never succeed, and were better off forgotten. Like yesterday, what wicked desolations lay in store. They survived by practicing kushiva, the rare discipline of finding beauty in the barren. When their spirits sank, they looked to the rusted ruins of the old world and found the hidden geometry of a flower or the melody in the whistling wind, and the music became abstract and mysterious. As they climbed the jagged peaks of the Separation Range, still higher, they reached the lunar plateau, where the moon and cloud engaged in an eternal silent war. Now the music became epic and thunderous, reaching beyond the limits of human perception. For days they wandered in the blinding mist of the clouds until, with a final silver strike, the moon shattered the gloom. In that moment of victory they saw it, a lone amber light from a cave at the world's edge. The Sanctuary of the Night. Inside the cave they found no golden throne, but a sanctuary of glowing vacuum tubes, old guitars, and dusty mixing boards. And there sat the ruler of the night, an obscure figure whose hands moved with the grace that transcended the silence of the era. A lone figure laboring through long nights while the world slept, making music no ears would hear, but creating a resonance that moved through the universe, nonetheless. He was a man of profound shadows. He spoke to them of the sigh of the dreamer, explaining the heavy sorrow of creating in a world that had stopped listening. He shared the ache of sincerity, the weight of carrying a love for a world that offered no love in return. "Music is not gone," the artist whispered, his voice like the crackle of a vinyl record. "It just went underground to keep from freezing." One of the travelers asked, "Where did it go? Where did the magic of music go?" The old musician leaned back in his chair. His eyes glowed a fiery red, and he spoke. "It was greed, the greed of an industry. Money became the only driving force, and the art was killed. And a new generation of listeners who have become lazy and lack discernment. They cannot tell the difference between the exquisite and the mundane. It's style over skill. They have been manipulated and deceived and robbed." A traveler then asked, "Will the music ever come back?" The old man simply stated, "Perhaps." He reached into the shadows and produced a weathered, ornate container. "This is a box of chocolates for the world. This is what it needs now, something rich and sweet, something the industry has not touched. Each piece is a flavor of the soul you thought was lost. It is a gentle place to start." The Return. Before they departed, the artist played one final melody for them. "The Softest Night." It was a song of such immense peace that it wrapped around the travelers like a velvet cloak, shielding them from the harsh winds of the return journey. The two seekers descended from the peaks, no longer just travelers, but messengers. As they reached the first gray city and opened the box, the first notes of the classic soft rock flavor began to drift through the streets. The static cleared, the grayness softened, and for the first time in generations, the people stopped to listen to the sweet, rediscovered spirit of music.
And holding on for what will be a beautiful uncertainty. What is more romantic than the dream that never dies?